Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dynamic Calibrations with Opus IVS. Hopefully everyone can hear me and see me. So I'll give you a little bit of background about myself. My name is Jeff Oswald. I am the Q&A ADAS specialist here at Opus IVS. My background is mechanical. I was with Volkswagen and Audi for 24 years as a master guild technician for Audi and a master technician for Volkswagen. In 2018, I left, started my own ADAS business, left out of the dealerships, and quickly found out that I needed OE scan tools, only because no aftermarket tool is going to do programming and everything else that's needed. Partnership developed with Opus IVS, and here we are 4 years later. So welcome, everybody. To Dynamic Calibrations with Opus IVS. Dynamic calibrations are relatively simple, only because the equations for mathematical measurements and things that need to be done on static calibrations, which we will cover in another webinar here shortly, are completely different. So with dynamics, the systems on the vehicle is going to be doing the calibrations. So let's get diving into this. So what I aim to accomplish with you guys today is ADAS model mapping. We're going to talk about the summary of how dynamic calibrations work, the synthesis on dynamic calibrations, dynamic calibration possibilities in your shop, whether you are dealing with collision or mechanical, because ADAS calibrations can relate to both collision and mechanical. So we're going to touch base on a little bit of that stuff as well. I got some slides up. I'm going to show you guys some tips on looking for ADAS components on vehicles, switches, cameras, radars, signal indicators, all those things. We're going to go over how to maybe identify it, help you guys identify if you don't know how to already do it. I want to talk about understanding ADAS requirements for level 2. We're going to talk about dynamic calibrations. They're not targeted, but there might be some special tools that you'll need for certain cars, right? Ford is a big one when it comes to Ford. Even Chrysler, we need to get that ADAS module leveled before we take it out on a drive, right? Because we don't want that radar looking up in the sky or looking down at the ground. It may not calibrate at all, or it could calibrate but not calibrate correctly, right? So we're going to talk about those things. And we're also going to talk about on the tool when it comes to ordering calibrations, right? If a lot of you guys have Drive Safe or Drive Pro, I'm going to show you where to go in the tools in order to get those calibrations ordered, or you guys can follow the instructions on your own personal aftermarket tool if you're using one to do these calibrations. But the main thing is understanding the calibrations and also understanding when they need to be done. That's the biggest thing. So dynamic calibrations, they're ones that require the vehicle to be put into a calibration mode, generally using a diagnostic tool and then driven, right? This may require that the diagnostic tool or the scan device stay connected during the drive cycle of the vehicle. If you guys are using Opus for the calibrations, our technicians, whether on the mechanical side or the collision side, they're going to tell you guys what needs to be done, right? So when you guys are doing, Ford collision detection, radar cruise systems, side object detections, whether it's front or rear, any camera calibrations, LiDAR calibrations, all that stuff, right? It's all going to be in there. So those guys are going to help you out if you're unsure what to do after looking at the service information. So like we talked about earlier, dynamic calibrations, they are driving calibrations, but they do not require targets. But you may need a level or basic hand tools to do some adjustments prior to the drive or during the drive, right? So with Chrysler and Chevy, or I'm sorry, with Ford and Chevy, for a front radar, for instance, we need to get that radar level at a perfect 90 from the floor of where the car's sitting. With some of the Chryslers, you're going to do the same thing. However, on a Chrysler, I'm sure you guys have all seen them in the front grille. You know, you have that bulb looking radar in the front center grille. That might need to be adjusted during the calibration. So the scan tool is generally going to say, hey, Jeff, I need you to pull over, and I need you to adjust the upper screw counterclockwise 1 turn, and then adjust the lower screw, counterclockwise a half of a turn, and you would continue driving. So just keep those types of things in mind as well. And all this information that we're going to cover, it's going to be found in the service information. So if you guys are using factory OE, SI, that's great. That's awesome. If you're not, and say you're using all data, technically that information is going to be in all data. So again, always look up your service information on the day of the repair. I can't emphasize that enough, because these procedures, they could change at a later date. And when they do, we don't want to use the same procedure that we used on one car yesterday on the same car the next day. You just don't want to do that. So always keep that stuff in mind as well. Dynamic calibrations and possibilities. Module replacement, right? If you guys are replacing a forward-facing camera, or you're replacing an adaptive cruise module or a blind spot module, things along those lines, even certain parking sensors on Toyota and Lexus, right? They got to be measured. The angle on the bumper needs to be measured, all these things, right? So with module replacement, generally, if you guys are replacing a module, that programming has to take place before a calibration can take place. So keep that in mind as well. Outside rear mirrors and doors, rear cameras on cars. If these modules are getting removed or replaced, there's a pretty high probability that something needs to be done to that camera or that radar, before it goes back on the car. Front grille or core support removal, replacement, radiator replacement, or an accident. So I can give you guys a very good example of this. So when I was the shop foreman at Audi, I had the writers up front. They were trained to know how to look for ADAS components on vehicles, right? So we had a pretty relatively common issue on the 4-liter twin turbos. The breather valve would go bad. To replace the breather valve, the front support of the vehicle, it needs to be put into a service position, and by doing so, you're loosening the core support and the headlights and everything, and it's all essentially hanging forward on the car with the bumper off of it. When that repair was done and everything was put back on, let's hypothetically say we were working on a RS7, right, a pretty high line car. So let's say the car was equipped with front LiDAR. It was equipped with the front camera. It was equipped with night vision, 360 camera, right? All that stuff. The advisors at the dealership, they knew that, hey, if the customer called in, say with that RS7 of 2018 or 19, when they called in and said, hey, I need a 4-wheel alignment on my car. Okay. Let's say that price of that, 4-wheel alignment was $200. The advisors knew that, hey, this car could be equipped with this, and they would kind of prep the customer up front, right? Hey, when you get here, once your car gets on the alignment rack, if we go adjusting rear toe and thrust angle on the vehicle, we have to recalibrate your car, right? So just keep these types of things in mind when it comes to like the mechanical things, because when you really start digging into the service information, you will see under 4-wheel alignment that, hey, now this car needs to be calibrated, and it's everything on the car. It's everything with the exception of the blind spot sensors, or what Volkswagen and Audi calls lane change assist. So keep those things in mind. Rear bumper covers. Maybe you guys are taking them off because you got to replace the taillight, right? An LED's out in the taillight or something. Again, Audi's a very good example of it. Rear bumper comes off. When it goes back on, service information says, hey, if these sensors are removed, installed, or replaced, you got to recalibrate those blind spot sensors. So windshields. Anytime a windshield's getting replaced, all the OEs are going to recommend the OE glass. I've had a few Jaguars trying to do a dynamic camera calibration on a Jaguar. It will not calibrate because the glass was aftermarket. So if you guys are pulling the headliner out for sunroof repairs, Subaru, right? Very good example on Subarus. If the eyesight cameras are down, they go back up. Technically, they're never going to be back in the exact same spot that you took them out, no matter how good you mark them, because the service information is going to say, hey, if this stuff was removed, you need to do this. So again, keep that stuff in mind. Four-wheel alignments, rear toe and thrust angles. I just kind of touched base on that with the Audis and the Volkswagens, and there's other manufacturers. And I actually have some listed here in the slides that we'll go over here shortly. Steering angle sensor resets. ADAS works off of steering angle. A lot of it works off of, hey, you did the alignment. Certain manufacturers, once the alignment's done, you got to reset the steering angle sensor. Start digging through the SI, because you guys could very well possibly need to calibrate something on the car that goes along with that as well. So like I kind of talked about already, if you guys touched it, there's a 99.8% chance that some form of calibration is now needed on the car. So even if you just unplugged it and you removed the bumper cover just a little bit, put it back on, technically you've shifted things. I'm not saying it needs it or it doesn't need it, but always check your service information, because every manufacturer is different. And unfortunately, in our industry, when it comes to ADAS calibrations, there's really no set standard on when it needs to be done, right? But I'm sure that's going to be coming in the future. The more autonomous vehicles get, right? I just bought an F-150, and it's got Blue Cruise on it. It's amazing, right? I just turn on the cruise. It tells me to keep my eyes looking out the windshield, and I pretty much drove back from LA just before Christmas with no hands on the steering wheel until I got on the side streets. So pretty cool stuff. I think calibrations are going to become more static as we go forward, but also, dynamic's still there. And a lot of manufacturers, Volkswagen and Audi, say when I was at the dealerships, static was the only option. And now we're starting to see dynamic become available on certain Audis and Volkswagens. We're seeing it on Toyota, Lexus, right? So the manufacturers are changing. And for you guys that live up in the north where it's snowing, you got bad weather. A lot of these dynamic calibrations, I think, are going to be pretty next to impossible. I've never tried to do one in bad weather, but in the service information, it does talk about weather, traffic, road features, right? That's how these calibrations are going to work. So I got a couple examples here I want to share with you guys. 24 F-150 Lightning. Rearview mirrors needs to come off the car for, I don't know, a new motor. It needs to come off for glass replacement, a door seal, whatever it might be, right? That camera, if there's a 360 camera and it's on that mirror comes off the vehicle. I did pull this out of all data, which probably a lot of you guys are using, but we would find the same information inside of the service, inside of the OE service information. That camera comes off when we go down and we're going back through the procedure on putting everything back together. The very last step, once everything's reinstalled, is to align the 360 camera. And there's a link there in all data that takes you to the procedure on how to do it. So some of the older Fords, the 360 cameras, they used really long, wide mats that ran alongside the vehicle. But I think they've kind of went away from that a little bit. We're starting to see more dynamics on the 360s. So again, prime example, removing mirrors, follow through the service information, see if there's any hyperlinks, right? See if there's anything there that's telling you that the cameras need to be done, right? You touched it, like I said, something's probably going to need to be done. And I think a lot of this stuff is missed because, I mean, I did it at the shop level, right? I never worked in collision, even though I deal a lot with collision now. You guys might look at the procedure, hey, how do I get this off? You get it off, but then you don't finish reading the service information and find out that, hey, you got to do X, Y, Z as well. So Ford Mustang Mach-E, rear toe adjustment on a Mach-E. These cars are coming not only into the collision centers if something happens to the vehicle, wheel damage, suspension damage, but some of these cars might be going out of warranty and they're starting to roll into the mechanical world of things at Joe's Auto Garage. Look at the service information. Hey, I'm going to be adjusting this rear toe. What do I need to do? okay, I need to lock the steering wheel. It's pretty common with four-wheel alignments or any alignment on a vehicle. But when you go down further through the service information, we do have a note at the bottom that if the vehicle is equipped with a lane departure warning system, camera alignment is required for the lane keeping alert and lane keep aid to function correctly. And it tells us to hook up the scan tool, and we want to go into the IPMA module, and we want to follow the alignment procedures, through the scan tool. Identifying ADAS, pretty easy to identify, especially once you start looking for it. It doesn't take long. You should be able to, once you get good at it, I think you can identify all the ADAS on a car in about 10 seconds. It's really easy. Big giveaways, cameras, like on the Toyota there in the windshield, super easy to identify, right? This is a mono camera. Some of the cars have stereo cameras, right? You'll have two cameras up there. Even Mercedes-Benz, they might have three, and one of those cameras up in the windshields for night vision. Identifying it through the steering wheel there. If you're not sure if the car has the adaptive cruise, just simply look at that button there on the top that I have circled. One is for the camera button there for the front windshield camera, and the other one's going to be for the adaptive cruise. You can see the lines where you're setting the depth of the vehicle and how much room you want between yourselves, on the car in front of you. Really quick and easy to identify radar on vehicles. Blind spot, super easy. Generally, we're going to have an indicator in the mirror glass, like in the lower left corner there. Volkswagen, Audi, BMW, some of the European manufacturers, they might put the amber lights, excuse me, or the indicators there on the inside of the mirror glass, or I'm sorry, inside of the mirror there on the housing. Another way to tell, right? Turn the key off, turn the key back on. Do you guys see orange lights in the mirror glasses on each side? That's a good way to identify blind spot. I did put a picture up of the Audi there. With this one here in the Audi, we can see the two rectangular shaped black objects. Those are going to be LiDAR on the vehicle, right? Just below the Audi emblem there, we do have a camera that's going to be 360, super easy to identify. With Audi as well, I couldn't find a good picture, and unfortunately I don't have any, but an easy way to identify night vision on an Audi, generally in between the rings on the grille there, you're going to see like a really small, funny purple colored like reflector lens camera that's going to be for night vision. So identifying ADAS, I think, is super easy. But there's some examples there for you guys on how to identify if the car is equipped with or not. So what is the dynamic calibration? So this is the process of driving the vehicle while the radar on the vehicle is learning its surroundings. Let me move this out of the way just a little bit. It's where the vehicle's learning its surroundings, and it's able to detect things, right, in order to electronically move themselves internally, or you might possibly need some type of physical adjustment or level to look in the correct direction, right? So just an example of a radar there on the left-hand side. I don't know what kind of car that was. I don't remember it. It's probably a Honda, if memory serves me right, CRV or a Pilot. We have the radar over there. And then on the lower right side there, that's just a simple picture right out of the Ford service information. Ford showing you that you need a combination square level, right? A $10 part over at Home Depot. Just take the ruler out, throw it away, because all you need is that, and probably a T20 Torx bit there to make the adjustment to move that radar vertically. So okay, so when it comes to the calibrations, and it comes to using multiple technicians, it's not safe for a technician to drive and look at the scan tool, right? I mean, we all do it. But however, another technician might be needed in the vehicle to read off instructions to the tool to you if you're not comfortable driving and kind of like, periodically looking down at the tool. You might need somebody in the car with you. There might be stuff on the tool that might need to be pressed in order to continue forward, or whatever it might be within the procedure that you're trying to perform. So you might need another technician with you. If you guys are on the phone with Opus, Opus is going to convey all this information to you when the, with what needs to be done while the calibration is taking place. Just use a Bluetooth device, right? Just for safety purposes. Pretty common stuff, right? But anyway, just keep all that stuff in mind. When it comes to possibly needing another tech with you during a dynamic calibration drive. Access to the service information, guys, this is huge. Like I've showed you previously, alignments on Mustangs, electric Mustangs, removing mirrors on Ford trucks, all these things, right? They all play into a big factor. So I know you've probably done certain jobs 100 times, but just understand that these procedures can change. They could change weekly, they could change daily, monthly, quarterly. I don't know, but the manufacturer could say, you know what, hey, we found a better way to do this, and we need to update the service information. So every time you guys are going to do a calibration, please do not ever use the same information that you used the day before, say for the same car. That's asinine. Just look it up the day of the repair, and if needed, save that information. Right, save it as a PDF and attach it to the file. That way, the day that calibration took place, your timestamp and date match the day of the repair of the car. That's like a huge thing for me. A lot of that goes into static calibrations as well. I get pretty anal when it comes to calibrations and how I do them, and the information given. So some of these cars might need fuel, right? Some don't. I can think of Hondas, even though they're not dynamic. Well, they are. Some of the new ones are, but some of the old ones, right? If you guys are doing a front windshield camera calibration, it doesn't need a full tank of gas. But if you do a front radar, it needs a full tank of gas, right? Don't put sandbags in the back. You don't want to guess, I always like to tell people, think of the fuel tank, think of it shaped, like a martini glass. The lower it gets, the faster it goes. So always put fuel in the car if it tells you to do it. Prep the customer, let them know we did it Audi. Hey, your rear toe's out, your rear thrust angle's out. We do have to do this calibration. We give them the printout beforehand to show them. And, if the car needed a full tank of gas, hey, we're going to go across the street, fill it up, and whatever that fuel costs, that is what it is. So I remember these are safety systems. I wouldn't go messing with them outside of whatever the service information is telling you to do. So keep those things in mind as well. When you guys are driving the car, depending on the tool that you have, say with the Drive Pro from Opus, you guys are going to need a hotspot hook to it, right? Because we got to keep a constant connection to the tool, and an internet connection. Drive Safe, if you guys have one of those in the collision centers, that's going to have the 4G LTE modem in it. Given that the what do we call it, the latency is fast enough, we should be good. And our techs will be able to monitor the car and tell you what needs to be done as you're driving the vehicle, and they can also let you know when the calibration is completed. GM is really good for giving us information here on dynamic calibrations, scan tools with road tests. When you guys pull this up, this one I did pull out of the OE service information, but you guys would see the same information inside of all data. GM is really good for giving us like number 6 there, or we can even go with starting at well, just start at number 1, right? Are there any codes in the car to begin with, right? You might have some, especially if that module is replaced. Now that it's been replaced, it's been programmed. It's probably going to throw a fault for some type of calibration issue. So keep those things in mind. Prepare the scan tool for the long range calibration driving phase. The scan tool needs to stay connected during the drive phase of the calibration. Engine obviously has to be running. Once the calibration has begun, do not back out of the screen or press any buttons on the scan tool until the calibration is completed. So we need to stay connected with Opus, right? Or stay connected. If you guys don't have, say, GDS direct connect with GM, or maybe some type of an aftermarket tool. When it comes, with Opus, we need to have a connection to the car. We always want to do exactly what the service information is telling us if we can. You guys would select the long range radar sensor module learn on the scan tool, follow the instructions, drive the vehicle in the following conditions for 10 to 30 minutes or until the calibration is complete. The message will turn off when the calibration is complete. This information below it here with driving the vehicle at speeds of 35 miles an hour, minimize tight curves, avoid extreme acceleration and deceleration, follow one or multiple vehicles. I really think that this information here with GM, when it comes to dynamic calibrations, I think a lot of this can be moved over to all the manufacturers, because not all of them are going to give us this type of information. And I have found in the hundreds of calibrations I've done, this information really holds true to just about any car on the road. That's why I tried to, that's why I did put this in the, in the slide for you guys. I wanted you to see it. So in my opinion, you guys are doing dynamic calibrations, radars, cameras, it really doesn't matter. These few prerequisites during the drive, I think really go over to just about any car when you're doing these dynamic calibrations. Again, follow these instructions. Car should calibrate. If it's slow to calibrate, something's wrong. Maybe something's not installed right. Something's still bent. Something I don't know, right? But following these instructions, if everything's set up like it's supposed to be, using the OE service information, 15 minutes, it's calibrated. I got a shop down the street here in Vegas. We went out and did a windshield camera calibration. No sooner than we pulled out of the shop, it's like 45 miles down this, 45 mile an hour down this road. We were going about 50. The street was 3 lanes wide. We didn't get a mile and a half down the road and the car was calibrated and it was ready to go. So we just immediately, flipped the U-turn and came back to the shop. So this information, again, is really good for just about any calibration that's out there. But again, always check your OE service information. What do we got next? Okay, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So not all calibrations take the same amount of time, right? In some cases, the same calibration on two different, on two of the same year, make, and model, it can vary by time, right? Was the traffic a little bit different? Was the sun out when you drove the one and the sun wasn't out in the other? Or was it raining and not raining, right? Just keep in mind that, there's a lot of factors that go into this stuff. Weather, traffic, road conditions, they play a huge part in dynamic calibrations. But remember, these factors can change the time it takes for the system to calibrate. This too is out of the GM service information. They're stating up here, I don't remember exactly what kind of vehicle this was, but I did pull it out, and GM will show you this as well. If the vehicle's slow to calibrate, right? Mountainous roads, consistent sharp turns, driving in tunnels, bad roads, bad brackets, something's not aligned right, This here is another good indication, and it's something that I like to use with all the shops. I kind of convey this to them. Hey, man, I'm having problems dynamically calibrating this Ford Explorer. I remember I had one time. The shop had called me out, and they said they replaced the bracket and they replaced the front radar and all that stuff. And excuse me, I got out there, looked at it. Yeah, it looks good. I'm going to go drive it. Car was like stuck at 50%, would not go past 50%. Pulled over, parking lot, checked it. Sure as crap, it was the bubble level, the spirit level was out. It was way out. I got it back to the shop, removed the bumper cover, got it leveled, went out and drove it, and calibrated in like 5 minutes. So those are just types of things you learn as you go, right? That was early on in my calibration career, outside of Volkswagen and Audi. So again, if slow to calibrate, GM's good to give us information on this, and some of the other manufacturers are as well. So at Opus IVS, if you guys are doing calibrations with us through Drive Safe or Drive Pro, we have 3 levels of calibrations. Basically, we have a level 1, which is module programming. We can use Ford or GM as an example of that, right? Those modules are replaced. They don't technically need to be calibrated. There's no calibration on them because they calibrate as they learn or, as you drive, but they do need to be programmed to the car. Initialization, a big one on that. Ford is a big one on initializations. Rear camera comes off the car, it's put back on, whether it was a tailgate, a lift gate, just the camera itself, whatever. Ford wants that camera reinitialized to the vehicle. So we call those level ones. Dynamics is what we're talking about, and level threes with Opus is going to be statically calibrated. So you guys are going to need targets in order to do those calibrations. If you guys are using DriveSafe, this is how we'll go about ordering calibrations. If you guys are using DriveSafe, some of you, I've still seen some people on IVS map, believe it or not. If you are, there is an ADAS tab on the main screen there after the pre-scan is purchased. That's where you can go. The IVS map ADAS checklist will appear. We're going to tell you the systems that the vehicle could be equipped with that has not been specific. We'll tell you the type of calibration it is. We'll also tell you the targets that would be needed with OE part numbers, and some John Bean TruePoint part numbers will be in there as well. You guys have the ability to click info. When you click info, we tell you why it needs to be calibrated based on the damages or the repairs that you're performing to the car. If you guys want to order the calibration, you have the ability to click request under the status column. Next, you would click order calibration, and then you'd put in your name, your phone number, and what you need. Once you click continue, you guys would receive a text message on your phone confirming that we did receive your request, and we'll be calling you momentarily to get that done. So again, if you guys are on IVS map, that's how you do it. A lot of shops now are on ADAS map. So ADAS map, you can see that the screen looks a little bit different from IVS map. ADAS map is VIN specific. So this car I did pull today from a friend of mine out in California, the Classic Collision. He helped me out. Matt, if you're on here, thank you for your help today. He plugged in, he had a 2020 Suburban. Based on the damages to his car, the systems that were being recommended to be calibrated were the the long range radar, lane departure, seatbelt, and he needed a steering angle inspection. Same kind of thing. We're starting to show quick ADAS is showing up on some of the tools. I'm going to go over that in another video and explain to you guys what that is. But you would simply select the system that you need calibrated. Let me back up. The adaptive cruise control module here, if you were to click this little eye on, next to the forward range radar long range, that information is going to be the same information that you get over here with IVS map for the eye. And then with this one here, you would just click order calibration. And then over here on the left-hand side, you'd put in, or I'm sorry, on the right-hand side, you'd put in your name, your phone number, and what you're looking to get done, right? Need front camera calibration and programming. Maybe maybe that camera was replaced and it's got to be programmed to the vehicle. And you just put a notes in there. Hey, I'm ready for the drive. And they will call you. You'll just be waiting in the car or whatever you want to do until they call. And once they call you, you're headed out on the road. 10 to 30 minutes, hopefully, if your traffic's good and your road features and lane markings and all that stuff. If everything's good in a perfect world, 10 to 30 minutes, I promise you. If you guys are requesting it in the mechanical world out there on the Drive Pro request, now I don't use this every day, so I had to get a little help from my buddy Brandon Matthews. Many of you might know him. Select the IVS 360 on the home screen. To order this calibration, you guys would select your session, a vehicle. You'd fill out the information needed and symptoms. What calibration are you requesting? A brief description of what you need and what was done. Contact, cell phone information, name, phone number, all that stuff. And then click send in the summary tab. So there's an example of that there with the BMW. What was that? An X3 that he sent over to me. So that's how you guys will go about ordering calibrations through the mechanical team with Opus IVS. So I'm big on workflow. When it comes to any type of calibration that I'm doing, I document everything that I do. If it takes 10 pictures to paint a story of what I did, or if it takes 60 pictures to show what I did, I always take all those pictures. Mainly it's for insurance purposes when it comes to the collision end of things, but also on the mechanical end of things, guys, remember this is a safety system. Take pictures, document everything that you did. It's so important, and you'll sleep better at night, right? We don't want you know, Sarah or whoever to bring in her car for a front end accident, or maybe, heck, I don't know, a front, I don't know, condenser on her Civic, and you guys put it all back together, and all of a sudden she's driving home and she knows that she can pull out her cell phone and she can text on her phone and the car is going to stop on its own, and then all of a sudden it doesn't, and she cracks the back of somebody. You guys all know attorneys and lawyers and everyone else is going to get involved, and they're going to go looking for, hey, you know, were the repairs done right? Right? She's coming back and saying, well, my car used to stop on its own, but it just rear-ended this person and it shouldn't have done that, right? Somebody's going to get sued at some point, or someone, you know, someone's going to come after someone. If you guys have that documentation showing why you did it, when you did it, right, time stamped and dated, like I told you before with the service information, save it as a PDF, put it in the work file, take pictures of the car, take pictures. If the service information tells you to do something, do it and take a picture of it with your phone. It only takes a few extra seconds to take that picture and upload them to the, you know, RO or the work file, you know, whatever you guys are using, but have it. Just cover your asses. I can't, you know, express that enough. This AMG E63, this car was actually down in Georgia, in the Atlanta area. I was down there at a collision shop. They did have some damage there to the front of the vehicle. Believe it or not, where that emblem is, it was pushed in pretty good. The sensor did require a dynamic calibration when all the repairs were complete, because of the impact of the vehicle and the sensor being shifted or moved, quote unquote. A dynamic calibration must be done for the client's safety, right? No warning lights were on in the dash, or maybe there are none on in the dash, but in this car, there were no lights on in the dash. If it's left uncalibrated, it could look in whatever direction it originally did when it put back on, right? ADAS is going to look into the, you know, ADAS is always going to look into the last, it's going to look in the last direction it calibrated to. So make sure you guys always calibrate these vehicles. We need it looking straight down the road, not left, not right, not up nor down. We need it looking where the OE software and the Distronic sensor needs to look to process traffic, pedestrians, and or objects. Now that all the repairs have been done to the car, front of the vehicle, again, collision, mechanical, whatever it might be. If you guys wash the cars in the mom and pop shops, great. Get it washed up, get it detailed for the customer. You guys want to get that Drive Safe, that Scan Safe, Drive Pro, or maybe just you know, whatever tool you guys are using, you want to get it plugged into the car. And we're going to go from there. So the radar, camera, LiDAR, ultrasonic sensor, it may need calibrated based on the OE recommendations or repairs. No one likes surprises or comebacks, so always check that SI prior to starting the repairs. So there's no 4 o'clock. Hey, you know, the estimator or the advisor called the customer and said, hey, your car's going to be ready at 5. You know, come on down. You know, next thing you know, the car comes out of the detail bay. It's had a couple key cycles on it. You guys are like, yeah, we're just going to do the post scan, and all of a sudden something pops up, right? Oh my gosh, I need to calibrate this. I don't have time. I don't have the targets to do them if we're doing static, or you know, whatever it might be. The calibration just might not get done. Now you got to call the customer and say, hey, I'm not going to have your car done until tomorrow. Or maybe you can get it done that night. I don't know, but just always look at the service information again before you guys start these repairs, because no one likes surprises. I know I don't. I never did. So I got up here, always take appropriate pictures for your records, cover, you know, to cover your ass. Like I said, show the insurance companies or the client that's in question of, you know, what's going on. So, you know, take shots of the instrument cluster before, showing the mileage before, showing the VIN plate, maybe a back picture of the car, showing the license plate. Take these pictures so you have them for the future, right? You have them for yourself, you have them for the customer. You have everything you need, because you're going to cover your ass when you do these calibrations. So if Opus does it, we'll take screenshots with the OE scan tool, you know, and we'll email them to you over. We will email them to you, you know, so you guys have them for your records as well. So I always like to start with a dynamic calibration. I want to get a picture of the instrument cluster before, the VIN plate, then the license plate. You can see here I got a picture out of the Zentry scan tool with Mercedes-Benz, simply stating the requirements and what needs to be done in order for this car to calibrate. So once the calibration takes place, you guys might see a lot of warning lights on the dash. I know GM and Ford's good for it. This Mercedes was, because on the previous picture, we had no warning lights, but the car's been repaired. We know it needs to be done. Once that calibration process starts, you can see now we have an active assist function, functions correctly limited, see owner's manual. When the calibration is completed on the car, the light may or may not go out. I can tell you on this Mercedes-Benz, the light did go out. I can tell you on GMs, the lights will go out generally. Fords, they don't always go out. You got to have the tool connected to the car. So again, keep all this stuff in mind when we're doing these calibrations. But if you guys are using Opus, the technician is going to communicate to you guys when, you know, the instructions of what needs to be done. So further on in the car during the road test, the warning lights in the instrument cluster is indicating the system is calibrating, and the system it's learning, right? It's active. So the vehicle may not require a key cycle, like I talked about earlier. Toyotas, they do require a key cycle, believe it or not, when it comes to the dynamic calibrations, from what I've seen. Once this Mercedes-Benz was calibrated, you can see in that lower left picture there that the light went out. I have a picture of the vehicle, my steering, you know, everything's active again. Everything's, you know, working how it should. Final scan, clearing of the faults, is performed once the calibration is complete, right? Again, take these pictures as you guys go for your records, so you have them and you can give to the customer that, hey, you know, I did calibrate your forward Distronic sensor when we finished the repairs, right, for that front bumper damage on this collision vehicle, or you know, the mechanical shop, right? Hey, we got done with your radiator, your condenser on your Nissan. We went ahead and we calibrated this front radar for your safety, right? Just give them that peace of mind that it's done. And I'm sure they don't mind spending a little bit extra to know that it's completed properly. I get that some people out there, it's too much. I get it, but just do it to cover your asses. So guys, just remember, in conclusion, a simple way of saying to calibrate something means to teach it. Okay, the concept is similar to how your parents taught you right from wrong, or where you were and were not allowed to go. Do not confuse this with programming. I've been to so many shops that tell me that they need to get a module programmed. I'm like, well, why? You didn't replace it. Well, I got to, you know, calibrate it. Well, it's completely different. So remember, don't confuse programming and calibrations, you know, with each other, because they're completely, you know, they are completely different. When you guys are programming something, it's more along the lines of giving the computer or sensor the ability to know what the car is equipped with. When calibrating something such as a radar sensor, camera, or LiDAR unit, you're telling the sensor where it is in relation to the vehicle and where it is okay to look during the drive cycle. So guys, this is going to conclude my first webinar ever. I appreciate all of you guys having me on. I'm going to see if I can open up this chat here. I am sitting in my garage. It's kind of cold. It's 55 degrees, but I'm doing okay. If you guys have any questions, I'll try to open this up here. I also have some videos here for you real quick, some QR codes if you guys want to scan them. We're not taking any of your data or anything. I just made these up today, but I do have some videos that I put together on YouTube for trihedral videos and 360 mats that Opus IVS offers for doing static calibrations. I do have a new video that I put up about an hour ago on dynamic calibrations. Scan that, check it out. Let me know what you guys think. And then, of course, over here on the right-hand side, we do have the Opus IVS YouTube channel. So I like to do a lot of stuff with social media more so. I like the video editing end of things. But check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, guys. Leave us a comment down below if you guys want to see something. I try to put stuff up in the community chat, you know, where people can go in and you know, look at stupid pictures that people put up and you know, maybe ask questions or quizzes and things like that. So I'm going to try and start doing that a little bit more this year in 2025. If there's something you guys want to see, let us know. Leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I really would. We're going to be working hard this year on podcasts. I did do one last year with a guy out in North Carolina. Great guy. His name was Shane, out at Wilson Auto Body, I believe it was, just outside of Raleigh. Go check that video out. Really cool. We talked about getting new technicians. What do things look like going forward? All these things, right? In the collision moment thing. So check out these videos. Let me see if I can get this chat thing opened up here. I got some stuff coming through. Let's see who was first. 437. Are you able to program the radar now using Opus? What kind of radar are we talking about? Because we still do have some issues with Mercedes-Benz. Outside of Mercedes, there's really nothing else. Rob, greetings from Australia. Jeff, thanks for the info and presentation. Regards, Rob. Rob, I think I met you at SEMA. If you're the same guy, if you're still there, let me know. You went out to Chicago and visited a friend of mine at O'Hare Auto Body. Thomas, thanks for the info and knowledge. You're very welcome, guys. Again, this is just my take on all this stuff when it comes to ADAS. I'm really big on documentation. Document everything you do. Be fair, right, to not only the customer, but be fair to the insurance companies. It's big. Mikkel, good info. Thank you. Zachary, let's see. Thanks for the info. Definitely put this knowledge to use. Yeah, we're going to be posting this up on YouTube. They did record this, so you guys can always revert back to it at some point. Again, it's my first one, so I was a little bit nervous, but going forward, it should be a lot easier for me. You guys can reach out to me anytime on YouTube and let me know what you think. I'm always looking at our comment section, and if I can answer the questions, I do. If I can't, I'll reach out to somebody that might know something a little bit more about a KFAS system on a BMW or something, right? An example of the vehicle needs steering sensor calibration in the front camera. Let's say in a GM, which one do you do first? We always want to calibrate that steering angle sensor first. Always do that first because everything's working off of that, right? So my advice, let's calibrate that steering angle before we do any type of radar or camera calibration. John, do you guys sell targets? Yes, we do. That QR code there for the trihedral videos, if you click that, you can see that we do sell some static targets. They're going to be used on Asian vehicle radars. With the exception of Nissan Infiniti, they use a whole big plate thing that's very expensive, and it comes from Hunter. But yeah, we do sell trihedrals for Asian vehicle radars. I don't think I have one in my garage. No, I took it back to Huntington Beach, but we do have those. And we also have 360 mats, and all of our stuff is OE congruent, right? It's not, the targets aren't smaller or one size fits all like some of the aftermarket companies. All of our stuff is OE congruent. We like to do stuff the OE way. Let's see. Awesome job. Thank you, Debbie Flint. Debs. Love you, Debs. You're awesome. Yes, same guy that visited O'Hare Auto Body. Rob, awesome. I hope you met up with oh shoot, I'm having a brain fart with his name. I can't remember his name. A lot going on right now, but hey, it was good meeting you. I hope you had a good time out there at O'Hare. They're a bunch of good dudes. This podcast on Spotify, William Walter? I don't think so. No, I don't mess with anything on Spotify. It will be posted to YouTube though. Michelle, thanks for the info. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for the needed information. Keith McKay, you're welcome, sir. Caroline, you did not appear nervous at the time during the presentation. We're glad to have such resources, willpower. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Caroline. They'll only get better, I promise. They'll only get better. Is there a Euro car bundle? John, no, there is not. I can tell you European targets are not cheap. If you're buying Volkswagen and Audi, you're going to be spending $30,000 to $40,000 just for the targeting system, and then you're looking at probably an $80,000 to $100,000 Hunter machine, because technically those calibrations are going to be done on the Hunter machine or through a John Bean and their software. So if that's what you're asking, no, we don't have anything for European vehicles. But fortunately, the good thing about European vehicles, majority of them are dynamic. So keep that stuff in mind as well. Jordan Ritz, if given the option, do you prefer to do a calibration as a static or dynamic, which offers more precision? You know, that's a really good question, Jordan. There's a lot of case studies that go on out there. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care about these podcasts and these case studies that people do when it comes to ADAS calibrations, because at the end of the day, us being at the shop level, whether it's collision or mechanical, we just need to do whatever the hell the service information tells us to do. But if I am given the option to do static or dynamic on the car, say with the newer Toyota Lexus, Volkswagen Audi, I'm going to do the dynamic, right? I don't want to bother setting up the targets and things along those lines. I'm always going to opt for the dynamic, because you know what? At that point, you're pretty much putting all the faith in the vehicle to do the calibration. You're not worried about, hey, did I miss this by 5 millimeter of a measurement, right? With a tape measure, string line looks straight, but it's a little bit crooked, right? Always go for dynamic if you can. Good job on your first webinar, man. Thanks for your time. Jimmy, thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, Jeff, thanks for the info. I don't care what everyone says. You did a great job. Justin, I appreciate it. Thomas, can we exit the chat if the webinar is all done? You sure can, man. You could have left whenever you wanted to leave. And Rob, thank you. Lee Sterling at O'Hare. That's him. That's my boy. I haven't talked to Lee since I talked to him just after what was that? New Year's. He had a good New Year's. He said everything was good, no problems over in Chi-Town. So, Rob, thank you so much. Hopefully, you still got my information. Give me a call if you ever need anything over there in the land down under. We're here for you, buddy. What happened to Glenda? Glenda, thank you for the info. You're very welcome. Programming available on commercial side of Mercedes. No, they kind of have our hands tied right now. We'll dig into it some more though. We're waiting on Mercedes-Benz. It's a complicated thing. They don't like their. I'll just come out and tell you, they don't like their scan tool not being at the car. Zentry, they don't like Zentry not being at the car, and certain things taking place. So that limits us to what we can and can't do with Mercedes-Benz. Is the assistance provided by Opus, John, included with the subscription, or do they charge per case? Now, I believe it is included with the subscription, right? Those guys are there to help you out on the 360 end of things, the mechanical guys. So it should all be included. I'm 99% sure it's included. Keith, absolutely what you just said. Just do what the manufacturer says. That's correct. I don't care about these case studies. And I'm not talking bad about anybody. They all do good work, and I do watch them. You know, some of the iCar podcasts and stuff, like it's good information, but you know what, at the end of the day, who cares? We just need to do whatever the service information tells us to do. I don't write ADAS software. I don't really care to know how it works. I just know it works, and if we do what it says it's supposed to do, you know, if we do what it says we're supposed to do, then we're fine. Let's see. Keeps moving down as you guys ask questions. What you just said, I do what the manufacturer says, though convincing the carriers that, you know what, Keith, when I was doing my ADAS business out here, I quickly found that I never had an insurance company not pay for something ever. I never had to reimburse somebody. I always provided the service information on the day of the repair, right? So I had a Honda. The very last car I did, it was a CRV, busted windshield, had A-pillar problems. They had to repair. They had to take the windshield out, put the windshield back in, so it qualified for the camera calibration. And the car was hit in the front, so the radar was damaged behind the emblem. It got replaced. So that car got a 4-wheel alignment. It got a full tank of gas. And I gave all that documentation to the insurance company. I never had an insurance company not pay me for something. If it's in black and white, I always got paid, and so did the shop. So again, providing the insurance company with 30, 40 pictures of everything that I did. They never said no. They never said no. We're getting kind of deep here. Let's see. Can Opus trigger honey key calibrations or perform variant coding? Newer stuff, yes, we can, but you need, Frank, you need ultra fast internet, ultra fast. We're talking less than 50 milliseconds of latency, preferably probably 40. So we're talking like fiber optic networking capabilities, like on your internet, and probably a hard line. No, we don't want to use the cellular capability if you're using it. If you're using a drive safe, Wi-Fi, things like that. You guys need to have some really fast internet, but yes, we can do it. We had fun working with the calibration tech on alpha with your, okay, cool. I think Frank, or I think Lee did tell me something about that on an alpha. It was his first car. Rob, when do you think that you'll get some more of that medium heavy duty coverage? Good question. Don't know. Don't work in that end of the department. But I'll make sure that we reach out to somebody first thing tomorrow morning Pacific time to see if we can't get some information on that for you guys. I've heard the medium heavy duty coverage. I got to assume you're talking about Peterbilt, Mack Truck, John Deere, whatever it is, right? They're all pretty weird about their right to repair software. Again, I don't really know too much about it. Jeff, appreciate the time. Great job on the webinar, Jeremy. Thank you. John, thank you so much for the presentation. Very helpful and much needed. John, thank you so much. Jordan, how do you obtain OE service info? I've had problems with insurance not accepting all data statements. You know what? I don't know why they wouldn't accept it. All data does is copy what the OE insurance, or I'm sorry, what the OE service is. I don't know why they wouldn't accept it. I can't say I've ran across that, Jordan, honestly. OE service info is not cheap, just so you know. To get information, OE service information, say at FordMotorcraft.com, excuse me. I think OE service information just for Ford for a 1-year subscription is like $2,500. It's not cheap. So, Jordan, I don't know why they wouldn't accept it. I mean, that's black and white service information that they I would think have to accept. Jim Beckford, if the insurance company says no, that means that they are on the hook for liability. This is one thing they don't want to say no to. Yeah, I agree. Because the attorneys and lawyers, Jimmy, they're going to go after whoever's got more money, and I'm sure the insurance companies have more money than you and I. Probably all of us that were in this webinar combined. So, Rob's back. Please pass on my greetings to Brian, Brian, Bill, and Frank. And we're looking forward to doing more with the team. Regards, Rob. Rob, I'll pass that information on to him. Definitely will for sure. Again, it was a pleasure meeting you at SEMA. I hope to see you again next year. Don't forget to stop by and say hi. Caroline, insurance companies have turned down all data recommendations, but not all data requirements. What do you mean by all data, but not all data requirements? Oh, I see what you mean. So we're talking about the gray area and the black area, right? Where they'll pay for the calibration if it's R&R, but not R&I. Is that what you're getting at here? Exactly. Yep. So actually ran into this with a MSO here locally. There's a way around it, Caroline. Here, I'm going to put in my information. You can email me. I think this will work. I think I'm allowed to do this. I'm not sure. Let me know if you can see this. And I will try to get back to you, Caroline. There's my email info. Send me an email. I'll look for you, and we can have a chat on the phone. Let's see. You're very welcome. CS, tell us what. Tell you exactly. What am I looking at here? Christopher Holson, panelist, tell us. Welcome, Rob. All data have fully licensed information from the OEs, the OE statements, and all exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I was getting at, right? They just pull the information from there. So why all data wouldn't accept some things, I kind of know what Caroline's talking about. Um, Caroline, we'll have that information. We'll have the discussion tomorrow or later this week. We'll get in touch with one another, and I'll show you what I found with the MSO that was having the issue and how we combated it and got around it. So. Um, I guess if that's it from everybody, thank you so much for your time. What time do we have? It's 5 o'clock. It's been an hour. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Again, follow our YouTube channel. Make sure you scan that QR code there in the center and check out that new dynamic video I did. I did it with an AI voice. I basically typed into this chat AI thing what I wanted to say, and it came out really nice. So make sure you guys check that video out. Smash that like button. Leave me a comment. Jordan, you're welcome. William, you're very welcome, sir. Rob, we do some truck ADAS. Stands can be, yeah, I've heard that, yeah, I heard they get pretty tall to reach up to those cameras. Joe, you're welcome. Jim, you're welcome. Samantha, thank you. Appreciate you guys. I guess that's going to be it. Keith, you're welcome. Justin, hope to see you at Vision. I don't know what Vision is. If they ask me to go, I'll go. Cheers to you, Rob. Thanks, Brett. Mr. John, thank you from Canada. Stay warm, brother. Vision in Kansas. You know what? I think I heard of that. Brandon was telling me about it, but I don't think I'll be going to that. Justin, if I do, look for me at the booth, please. I'd like to put a name with a face. David, you're welcome. Michael, you're welcome. Well, I guess that's going to be it, everyone. So thank you so much for joining my very first webinar with Opus IVS and dynamic calibration. Again, my name is Jeff. I'm the Q&A ADAS specialist. I look forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully sometime in the future. My email is here in the chat. You guys can reach out to me anytime. I'd be more than happy to answer some questions for you or help you find some service information if you need it. So from Las Vegas, Nevada, all of you take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.